You've been out of your room, Brent.
No, I haven't.
Brent, my ceramic penguin always points due south.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Is this what you're looking for? I know you've been out twice, Brent. At first, I couldn't figure out how you did it. But then I found your key.
But I'm a general contractor. I'm not a writer.
I know how I must seem to you, but it's not a problem. It's all clear to me now. You just need more time to write your book. Brent, don't worry. You can do this, and I can help you. Have you ever heard of hobbling? I saw it in a movie once. This lady did it to an author to keep him from leaving her. It's simple, really, and will only take just a moment.
Please, breaking my leg will not make this better. No. No!
This will help you finish your book, and if you don't finish in 6 months, we'll do the other one. Oh, Brent, I love you.
Today, we are going to be talking about becoming a writer. Stick around to the end and I'll talk to you a little bit about the short film that we just barely put together for you. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you are new to writing. My question for you is, why do you want to become a writer? Maybe you can leave your comments in the posts below, but I'm going to share with you why I wanted to be a writer. For me, I wasn't making nearly as much money as I hoped I would. I was contemplating taking a second job, and I did not want to be away from my family. And so I thought, hey, maybe writing is the idea. Maybe that can keep me at home at nights around the family while I'm still doing a side income. However, that did not work out the way I expected it to. What ended up happening is it ended up costing me a lot of more money in the long run. Thing is, though, as I started writing, I got addicted to it, and my why changed. I ended up becoming a writer because I loved the creative process. I loved the hard work involved in it. I loved just how everything was always new whenever you were writing. I'm hoping that eventually, someday, my books will find a wider market and they will actually start bringing me income. And I think that's one of the goals that a lot of us as artists have, and I do consider writing an art form. The thing that is so unique about art is that often it's best if it's shared with other people. I've shared with you why I started writing. You have your own reasons, I'm sure. But let's talk about where to start. You need to find a story that you love, that you're passionate about. I need to warn you, this first novel that you're going to do is not going to be the great American novel or the great Canadian novel or the great African novel or wherever you're from. There is going to be a learning curve to writing, and you need to acknowledge that. But the story that you tell still needs to be something that you're passionate about. Why do I say that if I don't believe that your first story is going to be all that sellable? It's because I had experience in this. My first novels, the Nephilim series by B.C. Crow. B.C. Crow was my pen name when I was writing my trunk novels. For those of you who don't know, a trunk novel is a book that you write that should probably be stored away in a trunk and never seen by the public again. Else they might get the wrong idea of how well of a writer you actually are. There's going to be a learning curve, but if you are not passionate about the stories you're telling, you're not going to have the ambition and the drive to get through that story and to learn what you need to learn so that your next book will be even better. So that's my first thing, is find a story that speaks to you. Now, what do you write about? It could be anything. They say write what you know. that is probably one of the hardest things, or at least it was for me to understand when I first heard it. Write what you know. Okay, so what do I know? I went to school for finance. I wanted to be a Wall Street guru. I ended up doing construction, building houses. I've circulated through a bunch of the trades. And yeah, I could probably write about how to install a door or, a great novel about sanding sheetrock, but I don't really want to write that book. Maybe I could someday find a fun, entertaining way to write that, but that is what I know, but I am not going to write a novel based off of that, at least not anytime in the near future. I might include elements of it, but that is not going to be my book. So what do I know? When I think about that question, I think of a lot of the stories that I actually enjoy. For example, I like reading books by James Rollins. He does science fiction, though a lot of it is grounded in actual science, and then he turns them into action thriller novels. They're so fun, they're high-paced, they're just amazing. And those kind of novels, I probably could write that. I know about what the story structure is supposed to be like. I know what the pacing is supposed to be like. Another one is maybe something like Terry Pratchett. I'm sure that he didn't know anything about a flat world that rests on 4 elephants' backs who are standing on top of a giant space turtle swimming through space. However, he made these fantasy novels, and I've read so many of them and others like them that I have a good feel for the pacing. I have a good feel for the story structure. I know what makes that story engaging to me, and I could probably come up with my own ideas, and I would have a good idea of how to make that engaging because I know what those kind of novels are like. Something that I may not know is romance. I don't read romance novels. I don't think I'd have a clue how to structure one, how to pace one. It's just not in my wheelhouse. And so why would I write a book like that? It's not something I know. So when I hear the phrase, write what you know, I do not think about, oh, well, I was a clerk at the grocery store, so I'm going to write my novel about how to bag groceries. No, that's not what it means. So here's a question I have for you. Why haven't you started writing yet? Who is holding you back? For a lot of us, there's a lot of pressure, either it's from family or friends, that keeps us from fulfilling our potential as writers. Maybe we feel like our parents don't approve of us devoting our time to writing. Maybe we're afraid that our spouse is not going to trust in us to support the family while we are writing, or maybe there's a whole bunch of reasons why your family or friends might not believe in you as an artist, and writing is a form of art. And often we look at art and think that is not work. However, there is one thing you do need to understand. They might just believe in you. They might not have a problem with you as a writer. Oftentimes, we are the ones who are holding ourselves back. We are the ones who don't believe in ourselves. I'm not telling you to quit your day job, but you can start writing in your spare time. You can find time to do it. You might discover that you have a real knack for it. And if you've got a knack for it, you could eventually turn it into a career. So stop holding yourself back. There's a lot of great resources out there to help you become a good writer. I hope that you feel like my channel here is a good resource for you also, but I will be sharing some of those other ones with you as time goes on. Please like and subscribe and follow me so that we can enjoy this journey together. You're going to see how I go from being a know-nothing writer to having multiple books published and also turned into movies. And just because you have not published a book yet does not mean that you aren't a writer. Keep in mind that somebody who watercolors in their garage can still be called a painter, even though they haven't sold any of their paintings. You, as long as you are writing and working on the skills of becoming a writer, you are a writer. So keep up the good work, and it will eventually turn into something you can be proud of. So those of you who stuck around to the end to hear a little bit about the Misery remake that I did at the beginning of the episode, let's get into it. So why a Misery remake? For two reasons. One is because the topic went really well with today's topic, and two, because I was going to get foot surgery. I didn't have everything at my house that I wanted for this, so some of this is just done with really simple things. I used my cell phone, I did have a light and a 5-in-1 reflector, and I had my bedroom and a hammer. So, hey, it was easy to do. It's not perfect because we had issues with the lighting. So for the lighting, we were doing this in my bedroom. I did one take of this before I had the surgery so that I could show my clean foot, nothing wrong with it. Then the plan was, after I had surgery, to do a shot that showed my foot in all its gory nastiness after the surgery. I actually do have a clip of that. However, it didn't look as cool as I thought. It just looked really bruised up, and the surgeon was just so clean. It just looks like he wrote with magic marker the stitches, and I thought, you know what? That kind of looks more fake than it does real, even though it was completely real. It didn't look as cool as just having the temporary cast on there that you see in the video. So my bedroom, I closed off a couple of the windows, got the light to stop coming in through those, but I had other windows that I could not shade, and I didn't want to do this at night because my wife's schedule didn't quite work out that way. So we tried to do a sort of a day for night thing. I ended up sticking my 5-in-1 reflector up on the right side of the camera and put a Dracast 1000 behind that, put a blue gel on that to give it more of that blue tint, and I used my cell phone in manual mode to film all of her lines, and then she held it and filmed all of my lines. Once we got that done, we edited it together along with that one clip that was done a week before, and they didn't quite match all that well. Did minor color grading, but I really was using a cheaper software on my wife's laptop. I'm used to Premiere Pro, and that's what I do most of my editing in, but I was using something else this time, and it was just really tricky to do. You'll notice that the little blood splatter is completely fake, and I mean, it's kind of cheesy. You're welcome to laugh at it. But yeah, it didn't quite turn out as good as I was hoping as far as lighting goes, but it was a fun experience. Me and my wife had a great time doing it, and it goes to show that you don't have to have all the best gear in the world. If I would have done that at night, I would have gotten much better results. If I would have done all the takes at the same time, I could have had a little bit more consistency in the final image. So whether we're talking about writing or we're talking about filmmaking or anything related to art, it's so easy to make excuses why you can't do something. But even when you have limitations, like I did, being stuck in bed and having minimal gear, look for excuses why you still can do something, why you still can make art. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my website at www.lightmindedarts.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.